week. Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb. Right here in this corner, we have...
Shaps. Don't point at me. It's rude.
Oh, sorry. And in this corner, I just point at myself.
Yeah.
And then we also have Madison joining us again for the second week in a row. Say hi, Madison.
Hi, that's my secret. I'm always mad.
Not
All right.
angry, just mad.
Yeah, just mad.
It puns less.
I'm not going to turn green about it. But anyway, all right. Marketing. We're going to talk about it for real this time. Studied marketing in college. Shaps had a really good topic. He wanted to talk about marketing myths, and he sent me an interesting picture here that I think we could really get to the bottom of. But what is a marketing myth in y'all's definitions? You know,
Well, what is a myth?
If we're talking about what I think we're talking about, it's misconceptions that either the consumer has, or in what I think are the more interesting cases, the decision makers who are governing the launch of products, some of the myths that they're under the impression of.
Okay, so I'm a conspiracy theorist, and this is the mega corporation lawyer that has been sent to essentially diffuse all the misconceptions.
My cover is blown.
Well, Shap, so your definition, marketing myths, when you sent me that topic, what did you have in mind?
Well, honestly, mostly psychological, but anything that psychologically essentially manipulates or coerces you to either change your spending habits or your time habits in a way that benefits the company. So how do you spend your time when you're in a store? What do you look at mostly when you're in a store? And also, what will you spend your money on in a store? Honestly, the company, like if it's retail, they don't want you to buy everything. They want you to buy specific things. Like it's great if you buy everything, but they want you to just buy these specific items. And being in, having been in real time myself, I actually am aware of some of these tactics that have been used. So,
Are they all in that list you sent me, or are there some that were not on there?
there's some that I could probably just it might be related to one of these, but like just specify, go more in depth with like real world experiences actually.
So I was thinking myths because they were like, oh, we tried this and it didn't work. You're saying like these are things that people do to trick you.
A marketing myth would be something like that. Someone says, oh yeah, this is why corporations do it, when there's no actual like black and white proof, at least in the public's eyes.
I would argue that many of the things that you showed me are actually really effective, and it's more a misconception on the consumer side that makes these things actually work.
These are more strategies. Some of the myths I had an idea for were like, okay, do a lot of fast food restaurants use the color red because it makes you hungry? Or cereal box mascots. Are they all looking at your children instead of you to make an emotional connection with your child, so the child wants them to cereal box, like that kind of stuff that they don't advertise.
Britney Spears really wants me to have Pepsi.
Or Kendall Jenner, but that's another story for another time.
So it's just like those little things. Now, going beyond that, effective marketing tactic would be plotting out the store layout in a certain way where it's almost like going on a tour rather than, oh, I need to go grab this one thing real quick.
Like the IKEA strategy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically the idea, correct me if I'm wrong, it's to make you go in one big circle.
Yeah. Now, if you want a simplified everyday version of this, you take Walmart or Target if you happen to be the few people who shop for groceries at Target.
Speaking.
You take your milks, you take your eggs, you take all the food staples, and you put them at the back of the store so that when mom and pop come a shopping and they don't use the Walmart app in this case, I wanted to talk about that more. They will meander through the aisles looking for stuff, knowing that they have to go all the way to the back to get the milk. That is the one thing that never changes across all the various product shifts, all the various aisle changes. What will you always see at the back of Walmart is your 2% milk. And it's effective because it forces people, or at least it motivates people to browse through all the various aisles on their way there. You think of all the times that you thought, oh, I only need to pick up milk and eggs. You're not picking up milk and eggs.
Right.
You're
I'm
picking
gonna
up
pass by the steaks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass by the cookie dough. I'm gonna
yeah,
pass
the
by.
hickory smoked bacon.
Yeah.
So this is in reference to the Gruen transfer, where it says shop layouts are often designed to be confusing and maze-like, forcing people to wander and see more merchandise than they initially planned. The trick is named after the mall architect Victor Gruen, who actually hated such manipulative tactics.
Mhm.
So
So how did he end up accidentally creating it?
I think it was just named after him.
Yeah.
But interesting. And like you're right, like that's most stores are like that, at least effective stores, where
Yeah.
like they want you to see everything. If you're gonna buy everything, they want you to see everything.
Right.
And actually, they will go a step further. Like if you have end caps, that have products like on the little end caps,
Mhm.
they will position the things they want to sell more on eye level because you're going to see it faster, essentially. So it's like little things like that. There's so much thought and time and investment that goes into just visual merchandising, essentially.
Now, I would argue that that is actually one of the lesser nefarious methods
Yeah.
that people use to influence folks. In my
Yeah.
mind, that falls more within the smart store real estate strategy,
Right.
as opposed to, oh, this is outright manipulating people.
Right. Because no harm, no foul. If you're a focused enough person, I just want eggs and milk. I'm just gonna go by golly to the back and get it, and then go home. Right.
I think
But-
you may say that, but it's a lot. I mean, you may know
It's easier
a
said
lot
than done.
harder.
Because
Yeah.
they're starting to put all the chips on the aisle that you have to walk down to get to the eggs and
Really
milk.
think about you viewers at home. The
Yeah.
last time you went to the store with one item in mind, and you went in and got that one item and left with nothing else, it is hard.
I
And
agree.
to me, that is part of a form of manipulation. Essentially, is to get your mind to think that it needs more.
Yeah.
No, it's not as nefarious, and
Right.
not all of these are nefarious, and really none of them really are. It's just business strategy.
No.
I'm talking about the ones on this list.
I disagree.
Oh, really?
I read a few on there. I was like, this is wrong.
I mean,
Okay.
This is
if
wrong.
they're like basic enough to where most corporations practice it, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, this is evil. But
I disagree.
well, why don't you point out one that
if-
you're like really?
If every company took up a murder policy, I'd still have a problem. with
Okay,
it.
find one that you really disagree
It's
with.
okay. You get to kill every 100th.
Yeah. And Shaps, I know this could be more work, but I was thinking as we talk about them, you should put them up.
Zoom in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put them up
I
on the
will, I
screen.
will.
Yeah. So I will go ahead and pull mine up. So the one I did not like.
This is crazy. Research shows that removing commas make a price seem lower. That's
Oh, to be honest, I do that for, well, I think I have to do that for work sometimes.
Wow.
And it's just, it's not we're reducing it to make the,
Yeah.
appear nicer. It's just, I actually, as I put it into my little spreadsheet thing,
Yeah.
it actually just looks nicer to me.
So
go
here we
lay
go.
it on us, Caleb.
The instant markdown. Retailers instantly mark down a price as low as it can go while still making a profit. The sign might say retail price $139.99. Our price $49.99. This tactic is illegal in some countries. In Denmark, you can't advertise a before price if it hasn't been sold for that much in the past 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So here, yeah, and that's not long, really.
Good heavens.
But what you say that because it's long or is because it's short?
Well, is it 2 weeks across the board, like for any industry?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
It doesn't say. But okay, so here's a practical application of that. Fallout 76's in-game store.
Yeah.
Their in-game store, that's where you spend the real money at.
Yeah.
They were happy to slice the price down from $60 for Fallout 76 upon release to $10. Some places were stapling it, duct taping it to the side of a controller just to
Yeah.
give away copies because they want you to go in, put your card on the store and buy stuff. But the stuff you were buying, red shoes, red backpacks, whatever, different colored stuff, it would say discounted at 40% off. Wrong. They actually released at that price, which is the illegal part. You're not supposed to artificially inflate the full price and then just automatically say 50% off.
Yeah.
That is wrong. That's terrible. That is manipulation.
Okay, yeah.
I'm glad it's illegal. Be
In
honest.
some countries.
Well,
Yeah,
in-
take the real price and then discount that. Okay, I think that's nefarious. To lie to it's lying. I'd say I consider it lying to everyone. You disagree with me? I see the look in your face. Tell me why, Shaps. Why that's ethical?
I didn't say it was ethical.
Well, then it's nefarious.
listen, man, I just sold the stuff. I didn't put the price tag.
I didn't
on
even
it.
think about your time at Target. I wouldn't even think about that, but now that you bring it up, you're part of the problem.
Just taking orders.
Yeah.
Surely is interesting.
I think that's wrong. I think if the price was going to be $50, to mark it up to $100 and say 50% off, just to trick you into thinking there's a discount, I think that's very nefarious. Honestly, I do. But what do you think, Madison? I know his opinion is to not. He disagrees, but he won't say why. He's just saying I disagree.
I do think it is, at the very least, in poor taste, and it definitely, if you're doing something like that, you are going to come across, at least to the people who are like 80% off of what, who are smart enough to do that. You're at least going to come across as, this is a gimme company who's gonna try to nickel and dime me. I honestly don't think that you have to do that. If you just have a good price in the first place, then great. You're an effective company who doesn't have to rely on obfuscating sales, and can just be like, hey, we have good deals.
Yeah. Right.
My argument, and I was formulating an argument.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
That's why he was looking at me with the. Yes.
Is that at least in the United States of A, you can really charge whatever you want.
Right.
And it does say in the example, our price is this. Well, in reality, that's true. Their price is X amount of dollars.
Sure.
So there's technically not anything I see that's like bad or illegal or like evil about it. It's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not a good thing. It's just like it is a tactic. It's like it's not like something that's actually hurting people. It's just like a way to kind of trick people. And honestly, that's what a lot of these are. Is kind of a form of trickery.
I think that brings us into a good moment to talk about what marketing, all these tactics really falls into two camps. You have your, I want to persuade people to buy this because it is a product we sell, it's a good product we sell, and I am going to be transparent. I'm just persuading people. In the other category, we have, and with a lot higher stack of things packed into there, I would say at times, is the manipulative category.
Right.
Where we're doing things that aren't necessarily illegal. We're not stealing from people. We're not twisting their wrists to try to get them to buy stuff. But we are relying on common fears. We are reaching into the mindset, the consumer psychology that we know is there because we've spent billions of dollars to research that and know how humans work. Right. We're twisting that little knob, that little dopamine or that little fear receptacle that says, oh, this is a good deal. If I don't get this, I won't ever get a girlfriend or people won't like me. I'll be missing out. Yeah. It's when you start to reach into it and try to manipulate people, that is where we get into the dark side of advertising. Yeah. Oh, and that, may I suggest, light side, dark side of advertising as the way to describe those things.
Sure. I like that.
Yeah, I think they're...
I said we're not talking about Star Wars.
To your point, why'd you talk about Star Wars, Caleb?
I know.
You're
light side, dark side, that could apply to anything.
You're a nerd. Started it. Caleb, you're a nerd, dude. Go watch the movies again.
If I'm a nerd, wouldn't you want to help me out of being a nerd? Why'd you tell me to go back to watching nerd
More to
stuff?
life than Star Wars, man. Gosh.
Get your lightsaber out of your closet and just go.
I don't want to.
No, so yeah, I think to your point, there is a balance there. That a healthy, because that's what, because here's the thing. If companies are going to be sneaky and manipulative, people are going to catch on to it eventually. But people really respect the companies that are a little bit more balanced than that, essentially, that don't rely fully on like these cheap tactics. I mean, like, again, a business is a business. You are there to make money, and you can't always just, you have to be aggressive with it. You can't just rely on people walking to your store and buying a product because it's good. How are they going to know that? Sometimes you have to push the envelope. Sometimes you have to push a narrative, especially if you have competitors, you know, it is a dog eat dog world, and you just need to do what you need to do to survive, you know, like, yeah, it's kind of hard to defend like these big retail corporations. So I'm talking about like, you know, like a small mom and pop store, you know, like or unfortunately, their prices have to be higher than retail because that's how they survive. I was just walking down a Grapevine downtown the other day. Every single store, every item I saw, I could buy half the price on Amazon. Have it delivered to my house. How do those stores survive? With at least tactics, like making it really seem like it's a good deal. There was something in there that I thought it was called the Unique Store, and I thought it was legitimately like a unique gift. But until you Google it and you realize actually it's like mass produced, but that's just how they do it. That's how they survive. It's kind of sad and sometimes, but it can be effective in others. And yeah, there's no I don't think inherently evil or good way of marketing unless you're actually committing crimes.
Sure, but I'm sorry. This one, it's if it's not illegal, some places it's illegal.
Yeah,
right?
but that doesn't mean that doesn't necessarily mean that it should be.
I say dishonesty. If that involves a level of dishonesty, and in that instance, I don't support that. And I think that falls into the dark side of marketing. Even somebody else saying at the very least distasteful. That's you guys. I'd say being generous. Okay, a little bit generous, but
it's the lawyer talk.
We don't have to argue the whole time. About that. Agree, disagree.
Yeah, here's a good rule of thumb. If it is at least mildly distasteful. Oh, actually, let me flip this. If it is illegal in one of the Norwegian countries, odds are it's at least distasteful.
Sure. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth, tell you what. Okay, that's one of them. Shaps, you have another one.
Including expensive menu item most people won't buy next to quote-unquote cheaper menu items. In this one, it has a depiction of fish versus chicken and beef. Chicken and beef costs $30, but the fish costs $50, essentially. Right. Oh, wow. I'm basically saying by having a $50 dish on the menu, dinners are more likely to shell out $30 for other menu items because the cost seems reasonable in comparison. When in reality, they just want you to buy the chicken and the beef. They purposely put the fish there to make it feel like you're saving money.
But I think that falls under companies can charge what they want.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't call that dishonest.
I didn't say that.
No,
I said I like
that.
it.
Well, I was kind of thinking if you brought up light and dark side, we could rank each one into the lighter dark side category.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? So
I would say that's either gray or slight light side. I would say less nefarious.
Well, I wouldn't say gray either, because they're not really lying if they don't really care if they sell fish or not.
Right.
They just want to sell more chicken or beef
because that's not their specialty.
But again, it's not necessarily manipulative, but it is using human psychology, knowing that people will react that way.
But isn't that what marketing is in general?
It all is like that.
That's
how
it's hard to
persuade them.
Sometimes it's hard to draw the line.
Yeah.
It's not like the olden days where everything was just traded at equal value, when things got franchised, it just had to take a certain direction.
I would have loved to trade a fish for a cow or several fishes for a cow.
Now, there actually is a flip side to that particular strategy, and it's something called a lost leader, where you draw people in with something that is strategically underpriced to try to bring people into the store. Typically, it's an item that you're going to lose a little bit of money off of, but at the end of the day, it's not going to break the bank.
Right.
This in a retail setting, this would probably be some popular food item that people are going to come in for, and then they'll buy a dozen other things to make up the cost, the lost revenue. In a very specific example, we could think of this from console sellers.
Yeah.
In many cases, video game console sellers will actually lose money on the console itself, quite a lot of money, but they will make it back in oodles and oodles of revenue from the games that they sell on the platform.
Yeah, and probably now, do you mean PlayStation? Let's take in... Yeah, so PlayStation will lose money on consoles, but they'll make it back in games.
Yeah, and you could say that's a loss leader scenario. Yeah. That's just a business strategy in my mind.
But even looking at the PlayStation Store, let me go back. Xbox 360 era, you could buy, instead of your base homepage with the white and your avatar just standing there, you could buy stuff for your avatar. You could buy stuff for the background. You
Just
could buy a background template.
microtransactions, yeah.
Yeah. So just a PlayStation Store, even using the $30 a month model for your PlayStation Network, like that'll also really get your money back too.
Oh,
so yeah.
Ooh, if we get into microtransactions,
Yeah, that is a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Two more I want to cover real quick.
Sure.
This one gets me a lot. It's BOGO. Buy one, get one free.
Oh yeah.
BOGO compels people to buy something at full price and often spend more than intended. Prices are set high enough to cover the free item.
Yeah.
There's the dishonesty. These all have it replace 50% off sales, even though half off deals benefit customers more. So that gets me a lot, not going to lie. Essentially, the buy one, get one free. It's like, oh, yeah, well, if I was going to pay for two, I'm getting one free. But now they boosted the price of one to basically offset the cost of two.
Yeah.
So it's not actually buy one, get one free. You're buying two of them.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, again, it's not that
Is that every company, though? Is every company doing that? Any buy one, get one free, is it always a scam?
How else are you going to explain the cut?
Right.
Essentially, like, how else are they going to make profit from that? Why are they like throwing this out there? Buy one, get one free. Say it's like a burger or something. Well, maybe the burger costs like 49 cents to make, but they're like, well, buy one, get one free. But the burger's like, $1.50. So you're basically paying for two burgers essentially.
Okay.
So I think like that's the only way to explain how you could be profitable with a buy one to get one free module, unless it was a promotion, like a really quick 1 day promotion.
Right.
I just don't see it going any other way. Like Shosky's, for instance, has buy one get one free pizza every Wednesday.
Slotsky's is ridiculously expensive, though. And
Yeah.
I will definitely support you 100% on their buy one, get one free being a total scam. And the prices have to be worse now.
Oh, yeah.
But back when times were good, I won't talk about, under whose leadership as a country we were under. But when prices were good,
Yeah.
one meal at Slotsky's was $16.
Yeah.
It has to be double that now. It has to be.
I don't know what you're buying over there, but I don't pay $16 for
Yeah,
that.
the sandwich, the chips, the drink, and then the cinnamon roll.
Oh, pizza's $10. You get two of them on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I feel like the cinnamon roll though is like the extra unnecessary purchase.
That's like $3.50. That's the extra that sends you over. I
That's
never
still
get the
not even
cinnamon
that
stuff.
bad.
Really?
It's not even. I don't think $3.50 for cinnamon roll is definitely better than $3.50 for a hash brown. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh boy, apples and oranges, dude. Apples and oranges.
I just like taking
Texas
shots at
and
McDonald's.
California.
I was taking shots at McDonald's is what's made us semi-famous now.
Oh, another one I want to highlight. Again, these are fascinating because I love and admire the cleverness of them. Not necessarily the practice, but just like the idea of just like, again, it's kind of a fascinating topic of how to manipulate the mind in the way. This one's called decoy pricing. It has a picture of $4, $8, and $8.50 popcorn.
Oh yeah, I like
Imagine that a small popcorn is $4, a medium is $8, and a large is $8.50.
Yeah.
Many people go for the large. It's only 50 cents more than the medium. The medium only exists to boost the sales of the large.
I definitely fall for that every single
Yep,
time.
every time.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I fall for it.
It's just that's genius. But like I hate it, but it's genius.
And that's why I think about it too. She'll be like, my fiance, she'll be like, why'd you get the big popcorn? It's like, well, it's only 50 cents more than the medium.
because they were only wanting to sell the big one,
The
to
large
begin with.
ones.
Like,
And it by golly, doesn't work.
it's
I'm not getting the
crazy.
small. Heck no. But
Hey, at the very
not.
least, these tactics are making us happy. It's just- even if it's like fake happiness.
What do you think, Madison, about that last one you just listed?
I think it falls under if they're willing to pay this much for the item, then more power to them. Yes, it is a psychological tactic, but does it fall within the clearly nefarious manipulative line? I would say compared to a lot of the other stuff, no.
Right. The only time I'll get the medium as opposed to the large in that pricing range is when I'm like, if I get the large popcorn, I will eat the whole tub, and I'm trying to just at least do the medium.
When you're dieting
Yeah.
and you're trying to
Yeah.
eat less, then
You
yeah.
know. Then it's like, yeah, I did lose the money on that. So
That's why it's hard to diet.
I hate dieting so much. I wish we didn't have to do that. I wish our bodies were set up to just be skinny no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shaps,
Wow.
you got something else you're gonna read there?
Yeah. So, are you familiar with a shadow launch?
No.
I want to get into this. Essentially, a shadow launch is releasing a product on the day of announcement instead of building up.
Nintendo.
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4
did that.
basically it was semi. That was about 3 months before it
I
launched.
thought it was like a month. It was like
No, it was a little longer than that.
okay.
It wouldn't. It'd be way too dangerous to do 1 month. An interesting shadow launch was the Sega Saturn. Actually, I read this article a long time ago. Essentially, the Sega Saturn launched 1995 in May or March. And it was announced at E3, but it released 2 months later.
R.A.P.
Crazy for a month. Yeah, R.A.P. Crazy for a console, because usually
Yeah.
consoles are a year, 2 years in
Yeah.
advance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people argue that's what hurt the consoles, because it was a shadow launch, essentially. And only a few stores provided it. They didn't have enough hardware to support the demand for it. But they didn't even allow enough time to demand. And also, because it was a shadow launch, they didn't give enough time for developers to even understand how the product works.
It is a
So if-
seriously ballsy move.
So
Oh,
you have all
that
these
sucks.
third-party companies
Oh,
who are like,
no.
well, we want to make games for it, but we just found out it existed.
Yeah.
So
That's
we don't even get
terrible.
the demo kits until like a month from now when it already
Yeah.
releases.
Mhm.
So that means all of their third-party games are going to be released years after it was initially released.
So why did they do it then?
I think it was just, like you said, a ballsy just marketing move.
That's
It was because here's the thing, it's worked occasionally,
Sure.
but it's very hard to pull off, especially at the price point. I think it was $4.99
Ooh,
back then. Is a crazy price.
that's a lot.
That's what led to the famous video of the Sony president of America coming on stage, and the only thing he had to say was $2.99 was the cost of the PlayStation, and walked off. And that's what like that, or $2.99 or $3.99, basically $100 or $200 less.
Yeah.
That's all he had to say, and it killed Sega.
Yeah,
That's literally
right,
what
yeah.
murdered it.
I think in my mind, like without knowing like the full history of it,
Yeah.
being a marketing guy and being a fan of video games,
Mhm.
in my mind, first of all, this can work magnificently on a small scale. Like
Right.
you get like a Nintendo launch, you
Mhm.
watch that and you're like, ooh, what sort of stuff are they dropping today? And
Yeah.
most of those, like, you know, the first party stuff, people are into that. They're relatively trustworthy.
Zelda game just came out today. Not that he did that, but it's like if they did that,
Oh
oh
my
my gosh, it
gosh.
would cause panic.
That
you
would,
know?
I would say is like a large scale thing, but imagine though, just think back to a time where you were watching Nintendo Direct
Yep.
and they said so and so is out today,
Yep.
and you're like, pull up, buy.
Metroid Prime Remastered was a shadow launch. It
Okay.
released the day it was
And it
announced, and
Eventually
it
sold out.
sold. Well, I mean, it was digital, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
it hurt the servers definitely.
Broke the bank.
Yeah, and it was only like $30, which is so crazy for Nintendo.
That's-
So.
yeah, no kidding.
Psychologically, the impulse that you generate
Yeah.
with that sort of shadow launch, like impulse purchasing, is a whole behemoth of psychology
Yep.
on its own.
Yeah.
But like the small scale stuff where
Mhm.
you know that there's very little barrier to purchase,
Mm-hmm.
and you do a shadow drop like that,
Mm-hmm.
that can be some serious, especially when you have no supply issues.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
it's all 100%
powerful
digital.
strategy.
But like the physical media, man, especially in 1995, you know, like when consoles were just so expensive.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
To drop that and have so much confidence in yourself
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
this is gonna sell out immediately.
I just think the doing shadow launching a console for the reason you brought up of like, well, there's no games for it because nobody knew it was going to
Right.
happen. Like that was
well,
actually
guess
a
what
bad
happened?
call.
PlayStation came out
Yeah.
with a huge library,
Yes.
and basically they were their particular PlayStation 1 was a lot easier to work with for third parties. Like it was just a lot more closer to like a Linux program, basically, like
Yeah.
PC friendly. While Sega was the same problem that PlayStation 3 had, ironically, where it was very isolated. Essentially, it wasn't like any other console. So, like, whenever you want to develop a game for it, you had to learn everything about the Sega
Right.
instead of basically taking what you know from other consoles
Yeah.
and transferring it over. So, literally, it was doomed to fail from the beginning.
Yes, shadow launching a console. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
For the developers, if nothing else. Like
Yeah.
because the consumer, it doesn't hurt that much. I don't think. It will, like you said, for a Zelda game, certain prices.
Well, it
sure.
hurts consumers because what it does, it depletes your inventory instantly, which means kind of like what happened with the PS5. You won't be able to touch that console, even if you want the console, for like 6 months, 7 months, because everything will be gone. So if it shadow launches, everyone's going to buy all of them, you know, because that's what actually happened. They only had like a few thousand to give out that day nationwide.
Is that what happened to PS5?
Well, with PS5, it
was-
just essentially it got they got overrun because they didn't make enough.
Yeah.
That was more a supply issue. Like they didn't have, to my understanding, is they didn't have the special chip that was
Yep.
necessary for the next gen consoles.
It was being grabbed by crypto scammers essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
But my point being essentially is that they didn't have enough supplies, but you're never going to have enough supplies on day one launch,
right.
especially if it's like a launch like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously they're going to deplete all their consoles are gone, especially since there was a lot of hype built around Sega because they already had the Genesis, which was a super big console. So like there's a lot of people wondering when's the next console going to be. And at that time, it was a legit competitor against Nintendo and PlayStation before PlayStation actually came out. So there really wasn't like maybe I'll buy a, a Saturn. Oh, I have to buy a Saturn
Yeah.
before they're all gone. And sure enough, that's what happened.
Okay.
And
The
they
thing-
couldn't resupply them fast enough.
Yeah. The thing that I in the brief 60 seconds that we braked, I tried to rack my mind and put myself in the mindset of the planners for Sega
Yeah.
who were like, 1 or 2 months is enough time. And
Right.
in my head, that says, oh, that's months of time that we don't have to spend advertising budget to potentially kick off an advertising war with like Sony and Nintendo, etc. But somewhere somebody must have believed that amount of time was enough for a developer to turn around and create games and enough to make the console worthwhile, or they just didn't think that was important.
They must have thought, here's what I think. They probably thought PlayStation was going to be $100 more than their console. In reality, it was like basically $200 less.
Yeah.
That's what killed them. Legit,
Yeah,
like when that
price.
happens, it's like, well, first of all, PlayStation has showed off much more superior, like graphics and just hardware in general. Plus,
Games.
it already has a lineup because they released the dev kits.
Yeah.
So they already have a huge lineup of games ready to go out the front door. You got nothing. And they just said that their console is way cheaper than yours. What do you got?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So with that, somebody in their mind thought this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Right. This is a great marketing strategy, and it failed, backfired.
Yeah.
Let's transition to positive and bad marketing strategies.
I think a successful shuttle launch could be in the food industry.
Okay. We shuttle launched the Chipotle chicken sandwich at.
I think if Chick-fil-A shuttle launched like a new chicken sandwich or like something that's not chicken, I think that would do really, really well.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, in my head, is there any other sort of launch for
Well,
a
sometimes they'll
food
be
industry?
like, sometimes if you have like an app, for instance, it will tell you, oh, a week from now, this is going to be the new item.
Yeah, but there's no like, hey, 6 months from now, we're going to release the new Chipotle chicken crispers.
I would argue that Taco Bell did have a big like convention for like their new menu item for the next year.
A
and-
convention for
That's-
Taco Bell?
That's
No,
still a
look it up.
small scale.
No, look it up. It was like a big showcase essentially, and they were like revealing. It wasn't for the public.
Sure.
It was for their company, but it was released publicly. And essentially, it just went over all the next menu items for the year, and it built up a lot of hype essentially. So
I
it's
mean,
possible.
Talk-
That
Taco
feels like
Bell-
an investors meeting scenario where they're like, hey, this is the stuff we're going to make money off of.
But if you leak it,
Hold on a
it's
second.
interesting.
January 10th, 2024. This is the day this article was announced. Taco Bell announces Live Moss live event unveils a year's worth. That's amazing. That is so cool. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
you know
but
what
I
Live
would
Moss
totally
is?
go. Live
More.
more.
Well, yeah, but it's their scholarship program.
Mm.
So they give basically they give like a scholarship to.
Why
Like,
didn't I
three
run my
students.
scholarship?
I thought that was
potential?
just their slogan.
Well, it is, but like that's what it's referencing to as well.
Okay.
The Live
Okay.
Moss.
I never applied.
scholarship.
Oh, so it was their scholarship program seminar,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, in that case, we have to go to Taco Bell right now and support the cause. Send the next generation to college.
Oh my gosh.
Power.
Power.
I have when I joke about it, it's stronger opinions than it actually is, but I lovingly refer to Taco Bell as Taco Hell. And I always joke that it's safer to play Russian roulette with all the cylinders loaded than to walk into a Taco Bell and come out unscathed.
You've lost me. I love Taco Bell.
Yeah.
You're out of here.
Now, we established this episode 1 that you definitely have to sign a waiver to eat there.
Oh, 100%. But dang,
But
after
yeah.
you sign it,
Now, Yeah, but I'm about to live moss. About to dump moss in the bathroom too.
And I'm not saying that some of their stuff doesn't taste good. I'm just saying that I'm never having a good time.
Bro, they have milkshakes now though.
They have milkshakes?
They do.
Oh my gosh,
It
it's a
came-
shadow launch.
Yeah.
We gotta go down there.
That's what I'm saying. And I agree with you. Shadow launches for menu items are great.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a thing until I sat down with my brother to watch One Piece, and he's like, I was like, what the heck is that? He's like, they got milkshakes now. I was like,
Oh my gosh!
what a time to diet, let me tell you.
What if they shadow launched that? I love using this term for the food industry when it's basically just, yeah, this is on the menu now. Yes, you can buy it
But
now.
here's the thing. Okay, if you really think about it, maybe they're the first ones to do it, like
No.
effectively.
I promise you, somebody's
No,
dropped the menu
not
item.
Taco Bell, but I'm talking about the food industry in general, like the fast food industry. Like, what if that was the idea? It was like, you know what? From now on, instead of announcing these food items like a month in advance, let's
Yeah.
just drop them.
Sure.
You know, now Chick-fil-A, I know what's going to happen on the menu like a week before it actually drops, not the day of.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A does have one of the best food apps, by the way. Them and I think Panera are absolutely
I like
outstanding.
Panera. Well, I like the Panera app, but I can't eat at Panera anymore.
You got banned for
I sued them for the the lemonade thing.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Charge lemonades.
Yeah,
Uh,
bad for you.
No,
Bad.
so I, believe it or not, I heard a rumor that the spicy grilled chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A is making a return this year. It was my favorite item ever. So
That's a rumor.
I hope it's true.
Get those rumors out of your head, boy.
I said I hope it's true.
We'll keep hoping because you're gonna be hoping forever.
It's a juicy rumor.
Okay, so you had some good marketing stories. Can you share the one about Reese's Pieces, please? And we'll just kind of go from there.
Sure. So this was a what was the term? This is in-show advertising, product placement. There you go. And may I just say, product placement, while to the consumer feels like a joke, it has made and broken many brands over time,
Oh,
many
goodness.
products. So, E.T., we have one of the most beloved extraterrestrials of all time. Steven Spielberg, just generally beloved movie. Not as popular nowadays.
Right.
Few people are going back and be like,
The big effing giant.
hey, you remember when E.T. was in Fortnite? That's not happening now.
That's
but
not his fault.
Yo, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Put that in.
there was a time when people did not know about Reese's Pieces. It was an up-and-coming, strapping young lad who was trying to make his way in the city out of all the brands.
Just a small town brand.
Steven Spielberg and whoever else approaches the bigwigs at Mars and M&M's and says, hey, we want to include M&M's as a product inside of our movie. And we want it to be a plucky, fun moment where the alien is being lured by M&M's so that the two young kids can capture it and get to know it better, et cetera. It's going to be a heartwarming moment. People will love M&M's, et cetera. The Mars people took one look at the ugly puppet that was E.T. and may I just say, dang, yes, it is ugly. I agree, but lovable. But lovable.
When you see the
man.
movie.
He came from space, dude. You can't hold him to the same
Yeah.
beauty standards as America.
Yeah, and I agree. And the people at Reese's Pieces agreed because when they were approached with the same offer, relatively unknown at the time, Steven Spielberg got a hearty, yes, we would love to do that. And so Reese's Pieces became a now famous part of E.T., where sock puppet E.T. is just lured. I know that's harsh saying sock puppet, but Mr. Puppet was lured using those Reese's Pieces. And yes, it was a moment that everybody can look back on and remember fondly, but more important is the impact that it had as a brand for Reese's Pieces as the product took off, sales took off, and that is a common story that we see nowadays, so much so that you get in a product placement, and how this works typically, you will approach either you'll say, hey, we're looking for product sponsorships. We want to get somebody to pay us money to help us produce this movie. Mr. So-and-so agency, who do you have available? And they'll say, we have Heineken wants to be in your Bond movie.
Yeah.
Or if we're looking for a funnier moment, Junior Mintz wants to be in your Seinfeld episode. That's a funny example.
Yeah.
And some of these brands will jump up in annual revenue by like 50%. In some cases, I went back and refreshed myself on this ahead of time for our podcast today. I saw one that was like 100 and something % sales.
No way.
That went up.
Do you know which one?
I think it was it an alcohol company, like a gin brand or something like that? I don't remember exactly, but I think it was in the food or alcohol industry. And my gosh, they just shoot up overnight, especially if it's like a memorable moment. And now when we think of product placement, we often think of the bad ones.
Superman fighting General Zod in a Denny's.
Yes.
It was an IHOP.
No one knew what Denny's or IHOP was before. Oh, if it was Denny's, it could be Super Slam. That's the missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, we have to consider, we often as consumers consider it from the moviegoer's point of view.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, ew, that was gross, awkward. But really, the measure of success is, do people remember the brand? Did they increase their share of brain time inside of your head? And did sales go up afterwards? And my gosh, do they jump up. I mean, think of the Camaro, the Chevy Camaro, when it came out in near the first Transformers movie. Bumblebee is this old, beat up Camaro, and suddenly he scans a new one. He comes back, and they play that music at just the right time. Da, 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 da. You're like, oh my gosh, look at this golden goddess of a car.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I think they sold 60,000 Camaros that year or two. Yeah. And oh my gosh, that is.
I was a kid. I didn't know what a Camaro was until I saw it. And every Camaro I saw after that was Bumblebee car.
Yeah.
And anytime you went to a car show, I looked for the Bumblebee car. Yep. You know what I mean? So.
And you can tease. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Mr. Explosions. The director.
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. It's gonna be Bay. You can tease his movies all you want, but
he makes
sold products.
He makes money,
and a lot of that is.
What was that you said about his movies in general having all the product placement in it? Because there's a point in the movie where the Sam Witwicky's running with the cube and he zaps like a Mountain Dew.
Yes.
Vending machine.
Transformers is like product placement. The movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are you could almost say there are fewer things that aren't branded in that movie. Like you got your Pontiacs, all the cars, of course, heavily branded and featured. Obviously, the show itself is basically a Hasbro toy commercial.
Well, isn't that what launched kind of Hasbro? I would argue Transformers launched it.
Oh, remind me. I want to talk about Hasbro brands and Wizards of the Coast later on.
We got 15 minutes left.
Really? Okay. So Transformers.
Let's have Debbie back on.
All the brands are coming back to life. There's Xbox.
Yeah.
You can hear their logo go off when the Cube Boy turns it on and gives it life.
Yeah.
And gosh. I would say probably the other brands, I can't imagine they made off much. You know, I'm sure they got a little bump here or there, but boy, the Camaro really made out like a bandit after that.
Okay, so you mentioned cars. It reminds me. Did either of you ever see the Gotham show?
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it now.
Only the first
episode.
Okay,
the first couple seasons are good. Then it gets really, really stupid really quick.
Right.
But there's a very infamous scene the last season where little Bruce Wayne is driving little Catwoman in a car. It's a Ford Mustang. And there's no cars on the road and they're going at 30 miles per hour. And it's a 39-second scene where they're just driving in silence and it shows off the car, it shows off the wheel, shows off everything. And then out of nowhere, Catwoman's like, so what else can it do? And then he stops the car. He looks at her with a smirk, flips it in quiet mode, and keeps driving.
Oh no, that's amazing.
Did y'all ever watch Wayne's World?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so look it up on YouTube and just look up Wayne's World product placement.
Yeah.
And it's a really funny bit where
They lean into it on
yeah,
that one.
yeah, it's intentional. Like, and I think if they did that and were paid money to do it, they're geniuses.
Oh yeah.
But basically, they're like, this guy was approaching them and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking to make some money for this production." I think it was Rob Lowe actually,
No.
who approaches them and is like, "Hey, we should do some product sponsorships."
Yeah.
And feature them in your movie, or I think it was a movie. And they're like, "No way, man. I would never sell out like that." And then they start, like, first they open up like a Pizza Hut box and start eating. And then they start doing like various other products. And
That's
like,
funny.
it's like, yeah, I just don't know how some people would sell out like that. And they're wearing like a baseball cap
Gotcha.
of that brand.
Have you seen the meme where Mike Myers is drinking out of a Pepsi can or whatever? That's that's the scene.
Oh, gotcha.
That meme where it's making Mike Myers is doing it. Like
Yeah.
that's from that movie. That's what he's talking about.
Man, dude, imagine if you were the brand that like hit cult classic, like for instance, Ghostbusters with Twinkies.
Yeah, I was gonna
If
bring
they're
that one
if
up.
one of the most famous lines in your movies has a product in it,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
you've made it, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And here's one so I only focus when it's done very poorly. So
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, terrible film. It was terrible at the time. No one agreed with me until about 5 years after the fact. And then, but there's a scene where Peter Parker's parents, say that 3 times fast, he opens up his computer at the very beginning, and then
It's Bing or
Sony.
something?
It's Sony.
Oh.
It's just boom right in front of your camera, right in front of your face. Sony. Like
That would have been great if he just kind of turned to the camera and be like,
Mom, Dad,
wink.
yeah. The other thing is like, oh my gosh. So I cannot believe some people defended Power Rangers.
The movie?
The movie, the new one. Okay, there's literally a scene where the main villain is walking around a freaking Krispy Kreme, and she's
with a donut, yeah.
yes, and she's eating it while her
in
minions
slow
are
motion.
while her minions are tearing down the restaurant and building their base. She's walking by with the donut, and they had a promotion with Krispy Kreme where they put all the different Power Ranger symbols frosting on their donuts. And I was so like, and that's fine. Like, I know product placement's a thing. I know that. But when it's done so distastefully, shamelessly distasteful, makes me sick.
Now, ask yourself this: it may have not been successful for the movie, but
No, I
was it successful for Krispy Kreme?
I'm sure it was. You know how many kids probably ran and got the diamond bolt, the blue diamond
I
bolt?
feel like there was a movie one time where like someone, like it was a monster movie, and like the car flipped over 50 times and it didn't break. And they're like, "Oh my god, we're okay." Oh, it's this car. That's why.
Yeah.
I love those stuff. I love that stuff, dude.
Those are. I mean, when
I hate it, but like I love it.
when it's funny.
Well,
You know
no,
what I
I don't
mean?
think it ever should belong, but like it's funny to make
Yeah.
fun of it.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm waiting for the Tesla truck to do that exact same
it hits
thing.
like it's like Megatron for the 50th time is like about to take over the world, and a Tesla truck comes out of nowhere, takes his head off, and it turns into a new Transformer. Tesla.
I was rewatching a cinematic from Halo the other day, and I immediately thought of that truck. For a brick, it flew pretty good.
Did y'all anybody? I know I asked you this already, but Shaps, did you play the Hulk game? Not Ultimate Destruction, but the other one with Eric Bana.
Oh, I didn't think there was another one.
There is one. It's very lame, but there's a scene. It's the only scene in there where Hulk is running. He's about to hop into the sewers, and he passes a very poorly animated Mountain Dew truck.
There's a. You ever played Need for Speed Underground?
No, I wanted to though.
So it's a racing game, kind of an open world racing game.
Yeah.
But they had sponsors, but there were only 2 sponsors. It was 7-Eleven and Burger King. So around every turn, there's a Burger King and a 7-Eleven.
Speaking earlier, we were talking about Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding, and I just remembered, speaking of product placement, they've changed it since then, but it used to be when Sam was like tired or something like that, you could pull up a Monster Energy drink
my
and he
God.
would shotgun it. And it was like, Hideo Kojima, you hack.
But maybe it was all intentional.
Oh, it was part of the art. It was. I'm sure.
It heavily influenced the ending.
It shows that even in the apocalypse, our dependency on materialism.
I'm sure it's worth about $500,000 worth of art.
Oh
quote
yeah,
unquote.
dude, could you imagine they would pay out the butt for that deal?
Can you imagine there's an ending in Death Stranding where, like, I'm sure your choices affect the ending, but there's
Yeah.
probably an ending where if you drink enough monsters, you got the best ending.
The monster ending,
Just die of a heart attack.
and Skillet's monster comes on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I hate that song.
You hate that song?
I hate it.
Oh, it's
Really?
classic.
Yeah, because that's the only one everyone would listen to.
That's true.
Yeah,
because everything else.
So you
is
probably
like,
hate it because it's overplayed.
Right.
Oh my gosh, you're such a.
like a monster.
Yep.
Hate this song. But yeah, so bad product placement. That's when I really hate it. There's a scene in Ghostbusters 2016 where everyone's reacting to a ghost appearing. This is like
Yeah.
their first ghost that they're capturing, and it cuts to Kate McKinnon and she's eating Pringles. No reason. Just like, there's like Melissa McCarthy. She's like, oh, go, and it cuts to every Ghostbuster, and then it gets to her. Like terribly.
This is why Truman Show is my favorite movie, because it makes all those. They don't put any product placement, but it's full of product placement. If you know what, if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean.
Right.
And it's genius,
Yeah.
because it makes fun of all those tropes, everything that.
But while advertising for those, right?
But they're not real.
Oh,
They're all made for the movie.
I've only saw it when I was a kid. So I don't
Oh
remember.
gosh. Yeah.
My sister used to believe when she was very young that everyone else in the world were robots who essentially ceased to exist whenever she wasn't looking at them.
Nice.
And when she saw the Truman Show, it only fueled that conception even more. So
There's a scene in that movie where basically he's like attacking his wife, and his friend comes over, but he still has the beer to advertise in the corner. Like they don't draw attention to it. It's just like one of those small little details. I'm like, wow, that's how it would work.
why don't you try some of this Numo Cocoa drink?
What are we talking about? What does these have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else got any bad product placement?
Oh,
stories?
dude, there's a ton. I mean,
Yeah,
we
give
could
me
do
some
another
more.
top 10 list.
We got
one
like 5
point.
minutes left, so let's throw them in there.
You know what? There was that one where they started sending freaking dead body parts places. What was it?
That sounds gnarly.
Bad video
I
game.
can talk about the Seinfeld one while he's pulling
Yeah,
up.
go ahead, pull that out.
So I actually used this in a marketing project back in school, and it is probably to this day, I think, the funniest product placement. So in Seinfeld, the group was in the Overwatch area watching down on a surgery, and I think it was Frasier. Oh, not Frasier. Sorry, Kramer.
Frasier.
Worlds collide.
You're crossing the best shows of all
Okay.
time.
Clearly not a fan.
Crossing the
Whatever.
streams. More of a fan of Frasier, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
But Kramer was eating a box of Junior Mints, and he nudges over to Seinfeld and is like, "Hey, you want one?" Like, no, I don't want one. Here, have one. No, I don't want one. And then he starts being pushy. Here, take one. And he's like, "No!" And they kind of in a scuffle, Junior Mint pops out of the box, flies into the air over the protector screen, and drops down into the open body of the person who's having surgery. And they don't say anything, so they close up the body, and the person makes a miraculously fast recovery. So the implication is Junior Mint is what saved his
The
life.
doctor's like, perhaps from above.
And so later the two men are talking about it, and in my best Seinfeld impression, "Why'd you try to give me that Junior Mint? I didn't want it." Well, who's going to say no to a Junior Mint? It's chocolatey, minty, they're delicious. It's true, they are delicious. Very refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, Seinfeld at that time when that episode came out was at top of their game. So yeah, in fact, you talking about it makes me want to go get a Junior Mint.
So I've got a couple here. It's always the video games ones. Those are the most crazy. This one was when The Godfather Part 2, the video game, came out, and you I don't know if it was a pre-order or something.
Oh no!
In the box were brass knuckles, real ones. And if you don't know, brass knuckles are illegal in many states.
Very illegal.
So they had to ask for them back. But I'm like, why would you ever give those back? Another one, when a Splinter Cell game came out, they in New Zealand. They had a guy with a fake gun run into an open bar and yell for everyone to get on the floor.
Yes.
Wait. I'm sorry. Start over. I missed the very
Splinter
first.
Cell.
Yeah.
When it came, one of the Splinter Cell games came out.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, Ubisoft had an actor run in with a fake gun and yell for everyone to get on the ground.
Oh no.
And
Gosh.
have a fake hostage situation.
Did they have a fake Sam Fisher come in and save him?
I think that was the plan, but it was too chaotic that they're just like, oh, it's a prank, guys.
Yeah.
And
Gosh.
That's awful.
The thing with marketing,
What were you thinking?
nowadays he'd be dead.
if he was in Texas,
It's New
he'd
Try
be
Zealand.
dead
that
for
in
sure.
Texas,
It's
boy.
New Zealand. I don't think they have guns there.
Oh, okay.
So for him to really run in with a gun like that, yeah, it feels real.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Marketing just in general has some of the most like brain dead decision making
Yes.
of all time. Like like you'll for as many like, wow, that was an amazing
Yeah.
play. That was an amazing commercial. You will have just as many open mouth, jaw to the floor.
Mhm.
How was this decision made? Multiple people had to sign off
Yeah.
on this idea and say, yes, that's a good idea. And it's just baffling.
It's
and
mind blowing.
one of the reasons why I love marketing.
I got another one when Hitman Absolution came out.
Oh no, that's recent.
Well, kind of.
That's within the past 12 years.
12, yeah.
Didn't they offer like to you can
Okay,
put out hits
IO
on
Interactive
people?
released an app allowing users to figuratively hire Agent 47 to assassinate their Facebook
I remember
friends.
that. I remember that, bro. I forgot about that. Okay, does it have more? Expand on that for people that don't know.
Hitman Absolution is a game where you're where you play as a hitman,
Yeah, but-
basically.
Right, but the app part.
I
Explain
guess
how that works.
I think it just linked with your Facebook essentially, and
Oh,
you could
man.
like
Kill this
select your
person.
friends, and it would send them a message or something. Like that's bad. Another one is Turok. You know the game Turok, an old
The
dice.
dinosaur hunter guy. or bug.
Apparently, the creators offered $10,000 to anyone who legally changed their baby's name to Turok, and someone did it.
Oh,
Well, here's one. I got one. Then we'll have to end it there.
okay.
Domino's was offering free Domino's for life for anyone who got the Domino's tattoo somewhere on their body.
Oh
And
no.
well, I bet I can surprise you with this. They ended up canceling it because
Too many people did it.
everyone was doing it.
I knew it.
So if you were like the first 100 people, they changed it. To the first 100 people to claim it, you got free Domino's for life.
That's a more extreme version of the free airplane miles or free flights for as long as you buy their unlimited pass.
Right.
Sorry, to finish the thought I had originally,
Yeah.
it's Resident Evil 5. They scattered zombie body parts around a major city. So it looked
That's
like
a horrible idea.
yeah.
Because everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's been dead for 7." Where's the rest of them? We got to
Call
open a police
CSI.
report.
We got a body.
Okay. That was great. That's a high note. Let's end it there.
Oh,
okay.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us this week.
Look what number 1 is.
What is number 1? We can't just end it.
Sega Saturn, the exact story I brought up.
Yes. We
And
talked about it, so we're
Full
legit.
circle.
We came full circle, guys. All right. With that, Madison, thanks for hopping on again for another episode.
So much fun.
Like you said, there's so much more we could talk about. We need to have you on again at
I'd
some
love to,
point.
yeah.
So yeah, that was great. I loved it. This 2 hours flew by. My God. So
Good stuff.
thanks y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all next time. Hopefully we'll have Madison on again and other guests, or if it's just me and Shaps having a great time being goofy with each other. I think we'll have a good time. So
Absolutely.
love you guys. Thanks for liking and subscribing.
Keep on sharing.
Yeah, keep doing that. We're getting an audience finally. Isn't that cool?
Welcome
What's
to Third Wheel.
Okay,
I love
real
you.
quick, closing thoughts. What's our crazy marketing strategy?
But that's not quick. We're at an hour.
Okay.
If you listen to one podcast episode, you'll get a second one free.
Oh, I love it. Let's go for
If you
it.
subscribe, you get 60 hours worth of content. More than that, but
Hey,
still.
let's go get some. Let's go get some Krispy Kreme, dude,
Yeah. for real.
and some Pizza Hut.
Sugar Rush.
I think a good thing we can do for marketing is doing a podcast episode at like certain fast food restaurants. So the first one would be Long John Silver's because nobody eats there.
I forgot.
It'd be
That's
an
in my
empty-
future.
It'd be an empty
Get
studio.
the Crispies.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
All right. Love you guys. See y'all next time.